Okay, I want to talk to you about drawing flowers with chalk on velvet. Back in the 70s, it was really popular to draw Elvis Presley and paint him on velvet. I don't know much about this other than the fact that it was done, of course, with paints. I'm assuming acrylics, on velvet, meaning fabric velvet, like a very plush fabric. I know how difficult it would be to draw with chalk on velvet, but I do know that velvet kind of absorbs pigment and absorbs color. What we're going to do is draw flowers with chalk on velvet that is mounted onto matte board. It is a velvet adhered matte board, okay? It's special made for framing. It's not the kind of fabric that is made for dresses and stuff or fine linens, robes of kings and things like that. It's not that at all. It's a matte board for framing. So here's some examples that I have done over the years. And the matte board was a navy blue. Here it's a green, okay? And I drew these flowery hydrangeas out of my yard with chalk. Now, I want you to know a little hint here. I did not necessarily use chalk on everything. I cheated a little bit. I didn't have the money in college when I created these. I was working in my specialist degree at the Kansas City Art Institute when I did these. And at the time, all I had were chalk pastels in chalk format. And I didn't have chalk pastels in a pencil. So I couldn't get that tiny with the little details in here. So I kind of cheated. I used Prismacolor pencils on top of my chalk. Just a little hint there. Honestly, you can't tell the difference, okay? Here's another one that I did over the years as well. Here I held a chalk on its side to show the depth of foliage in the distance. And then as it came closer, it had more detail on it, okay? So switching to video here, I want to show you some supplies, okay? First of all, the velvet comes on a matte board in all different colors. Here's a black piece. This is really dirty. Want you to know that it really doesn't matter what color you use. You could probably take an eraser to this and clean it quite a bit. And I found some chalk pastels in different brands. This is Conte de Paris, and it's just chalks. Okay. Here is another chalk piece, or a piece of drawing colored chalks, Sargent brand. Here's another Sargent brand of chalk, okay, pastels. It really doesn't matter what type you use, okay? I'm going to set these aside so I have some more room. And I'm going to show you a couple things. On this velvet, okay, I grabbed 3 different colors. I want you to know the colors come out looking differently depending on what colored background it has. So for instance, here is a lime green chalk. On the video, it looks yellow. So here is green on red. It's coming out yellow. Here's green on black. Not much difference. Here's green on blue. In person, you know, they don't look a whole lot different. They still look like that yellow-green color. I guess it just depends on what kind of a background you want. And if you want to have it the red showing through or the blue showing through or the black showing through, okay? It just depends on your backgrounds. Also, so what I'm saying is I gave you pieces of velvet so that you could see the differences in what it looks like. This is significant. On the red, the pink looks a lot lighter than the pink on the blue or the pink on the black, okay? So it's just through trial and error. I also have those pencils that I was talking about. We have enough money here to purchase these. These pencils can be sharpened and they can be used for fine detail, okay? So with that said, I want you to know that you can layer pieces. So here's a little flower petal that I was working on. And what I did was draw a petal shape, okay? Now, you and I know, we all know, that petals of a flower don't all face forward. You have to really study the flower and the way they're twisted and turned. I am showing you this merely for shading purposes, to show you that you can layer on the blue, the dark blue. I could put white on top, okay? I can smear it with my finger a little bit. I can go in with a pink, and I can layer colors. And I can go back in and put in detail work So in other words, I could put light on top of dark, or I can remove the dark, the light, by putting more layers on top of it, and it disappears. So it's not like it erases per se, and it probably only takes so much before the velvet won't take anymore, but it is pretty forgiving to work with. Okay? Your assignment is going to be to take a scrap of velvet, experiment on the piece. Of course, do a little research first, find some artists who create velvet paintings or velvet drawings. Then you're going to take a scrap of velvet and experiment on the piece. You're going to glue the scrap into your sketchbook. I want to see your experimentation. Okay, it doesn't matter what you draw in your experiments, just test it. Research other drawings on velvet. That's what I was talking about a second ago. You'll find paintings on velvet, but not many drawings. Okay, so go ahead and research painting on velvet if you want to. Find out a little more about that. Maybe even research botanical images. Find some. Glue your reference photos into your sketchbook or sketch them out yourself. 4, create your own botanical chalk drawing on velvet. Use chalks, pastel pencils, and maybe even Prismacolors for details.